The topic for your debate is capital punishment should be abolished from Nigeria criminal justice system. Okpere group of school is opposing, while Ivie secondary school is supporting. Over to the first speaker of Ivie secondary school. You have 10 minutes and your time starts now.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, panel judges, our great timekeeper, co-debaters, invited guests, and my fellow students. I'm by name Iboy Magdalene, and we're here from Ivie Secondary School, and we are here to support on the motion which says capital punishment should be abolished from Nigeria criminal justice system. First of all, what is punishment? Punishment is an act of confliction over a misdeed by a person. What is capital punishment? Capital punishment, also known as death penalty, is an execution or killing of a person or defendant after conviction by the court of law. Supporters of death penalty believe that those who commit murder because they have taken the life of another have forfeited their own rights of life. Furthermore, they believe that capital punishment is a just form of retribution, expressing and reinforcing the moral indignation not only to the victim's relative, but to the law-abiding citizen in general. Moreover, the oath, when it is used for less crime, capital punishment, is immoral because it is wholly disproportionate to the harm done. Abolition is also claimed that capital punishment violates the condemned person's right of life and is fundamentally inhuman and degrading. Although death penalty was prescribed for crimes in many sacred religions and historically was practiced with the support of religious hierarchy, today there is no argument among religious faiths or denomination or sects on the morality of capital punishment. Capital punishment was abolished in the state of Israel for murders, except treason and crimes on humanity. And Pope John Paul II condemned it as cruel and unnecessary. Those who support capital punishment believe that it is possible to fashion law and procedure that ensure that those who are really deserving of death are executed. Under the influence of the European enlightenment, in the latter part of the 18th century, there began a movement to limit the scope of death penalty. Until that time, a very wide range of offenses, including common theft, were punishable by death, though the punishment was not always enforced in part, because juries tended to acquit defendants in evidence in some minor case. In 1794, the U.S. state of Pennsylvania became the first country to abolish death penalty in first-degree murder, and in 1946, the state of Michigan abolished death penalty for murder and all other crimes. And in 1863, Venezuela was the first country to abolish capital punishment for all crimes and other serious offenses, including treason and military offense in time of war. San Marino was the first European country to abolish capital punishment, doing so in 1865. And some other countries, including Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, had followed suit, though it was later reintroduced in Italy under the fascist regime of Benito Mussolini. In the mid-1960s, some 25 countries abolished death penalty, though only about half of them abolished it against the state's and military code. For example, Britain abolished capital punishment for murder in 1965, but treason, piracy were capital crimes until 1998. Evidence suggests that capital punishment does not deter people from committing crime. It is a cruel and cold-blooded form of punishment. And there has been an instance where innocent people were being executed by death and later found to be innocent. I believe with these few points of mine, I have been able to convince you and not to confuse you that capital punishment should be abolished from Nigerian justice system. Thank you.
first speaker, Okpere Secondary School.
I study before you all is everyone. A bona fide student of Okpere Memorial School. I'm studying here to obstruct my opponent that capital punishment should be abolished from the Nigerian criminal justice system. Before I expatiate on my point, I would love to give honor to whom honor is due. Good day, Mr. Chairman. Good day, Mr. Moderator, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, and my distinguished listeners. Before I pontificate on my reasons, I would love to enlighten my listeners on what capital punishment is all about. Capital punishment is known as death penalty, which is the execution of an offender sentenced to death after a conviction by a court of a criminal offense. Capital punishment is also known as legally authorized killing of someone as a punishment for a crime. There are many reasons why capital punishment should be retained in Nigeria, and one of the reasons is deterrent theory and the general safety of the public. Abolishing capital punishment in Nigeria will not bring any safety. Rather, it will bring charges to many citizens. If other countries abolish it in their country, we are not supposed to abolish it in Nigeria. Capital punishment can be used to bring justice to victims. Capital punishment also reduces costs because it is very expensive to imprison criminals. Capital punishment reduces costs because the state is obligated to feed, clothe, and shelter people in prison. Capital punishment cannot also be carried out with brutality, which is, it cannot be carried out with wickedness, selfishness, etc. When we practice capital punishment, we know that it is the right thing. Those criminals, they are heartless. They don't care about other people. All they think of is themselves. They don't think what other people are going to be in future. Criminals that practice all harm things, they kill. So they are harmful. They are heartless. They don't even think of anyone. They don't think if you have cool blood or not. Capital punishment, capital punishment can also be used to lower crime rates. Yes, it can be used to lower crime rates by scaring people from committing many setting crimes. Hardened criminals are not supposed to live among us. Like serial killers, they are not supposed to live among us. Many things are supposed. Capital punishment is not supposed to be abolished in Nigeria. I'm of the points that said capital punishment should be retained in Nigeria, and I'm sure with this scanty weapon of mine, I'll be able to confuse you and not confuse you that capital punishment should be retained in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Over to the second speaker, Ivie Group of School. Good ladies and gentlemen, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, invited guests, and my fellow students. I'm by name Arm's Language. I'm here to support the motion which says capital punishment should be abolished from the Nigerian criminal justice system. The death penalty, also known as capital punishment, is a legal procedure in which a state executes a person for a crime he or she has committed. This punishment has been implemented by many states and has been used for atrocious crime, especially murder. It is also used for crime against humanity, espionage, and violent crime, while other states use it as a part of military justice system. There are mixed reactions depending on capital punishment, depending on what state and the state they come from. In my own view, I am not in support for death penalty, but I strongly believe that death penalty is unacceptable and an inhuman practice for the denies one's right to live. Isn't this life a living death? How can one say murder is wrong, but then impose it to serve as an example? I can tell you that losing a beloved family is a tragedy of unimaginable proportions. The effect of family, even wider community, extends well beyond initial shock and trauma. The common assumption in this country is that people who have suffered this kind of loss will support the death penalty. Seeing the effect of an execution in the family, particularly on children, extends well, particularly on children, arises question about the short and long-term social cost of death penalty. What type of message do we convey to young people when we tell them that killing another human is wrong, but then impose the death with someone on who they have had direct or indirect relationship with? Isn't it possibility that the position of death penalty sends a confident message about our society respect for life? Isn't it possible that the pain that arises causes more social problem than it solves? But I can tell you that with all seriousness, there is no such thing as a closure that rips the life of someone dear to me. As many people wander through the things they do in their daily lives with their conscious reminder of people they have lost, killing people murder will not stop the unfolding of the world around us, with it unfulfilled hopes and dreams. Let's work hard to abolish death penalty, to prevent life and property, to create a world in which our children goes to reduce conflict rather than to perpetuate it. I believe with this few points of mine, I'll be able to convince you and not to confuse you that capital punishment should be abolished from the Nigerian criminal justice system. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Honorable listeners, I'm by name Okoje Naomi, a bona fide student of Okpere School. I'm here to support the first speaker in opposing the motion which says capital punishment should be abolished in Nigerian criminal justice system. Reason being that capital punishment is that to give people an idea of what the law is capable of doing, and the criminal can never escape from the punishment, no matter who he or she is. Furthermore, a person who is in prison for his crime can't harm anyone in outside world. Also, many punishments are painful and make a mess of the body of the crime. In addition, anyone who is thinking about committing a crime will think twice before committing the crime. To conclude, we can say that capital punishment is the harsh reality of our world. Also, it decreases the crime rate and on the other violent human rights. Besides, all those types of punishment are not justifiable in the court, and administrative bodies should try to find alternative for it. Council said that there is no solid proof related to this, but scientific of major crime to a certain level. And I hope with this few points of mine, it's been able to convince you and not to confuse you that capital punishment should be retained in Nigeria's criminal justice.
So the third speaker, you have 3 minutes and your time starts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, and my fellow students. I'm by name Ivie, I'm here to support the motion which says capital punishment should be abolished from Nigeria's criminal justice system. Capital punishment has long engendered from considerable debate about its morality and its effects on criminal behavior. Contemporary arguments for and against capital punishment fall under 3 headings, which include moral, practical, and execution. Supporters of capital punishment also claim that it is uniquely potent deterrent on effects of potential violent offender that is for whom threats that is not particular for offenders. Supporters of capital punishment believe that it is possible to fashion law and Supporters of capital punishment believe that it is possible for them to fashion law and administer in a manner of consistency with justice. Those who are really believing that capital punishment can be abolished in this country, they do not really like. Those who are really deserving of capital punishment believe that they cannot ensure of executing law. Capital punishments have long established the importance of this law of this nation. Since the government have, recently in Nigeria, capital punishments have not been as it used to be before. Like the way the governments of these states have changed since it changed the old laws, they have not been heard of kidnapping. Recently in Nigeria, since the offense of kidnapping, there have not been any single of kidnapping since the cash of this country has stopped, the old notes. So I'm here and I hope that with some of my few points, I'm able to convince and not to confuse you that capital punishment should be abolished from Nigeria.
Thank you very much. To the third speaker, Okpere, 7 minutes. You have 3 minutes.
Good day, Mr. Chairman. Good day, Mr. Moderator, panel of judges, and other protocols duly observed. My name is Simona, a bona fide student of Okpere School. I am here to support the first and second speaker in opposing the motion which says capital punishment should be abolished in the Nigerian criminal justice system. Reason being that capital punishment is the strongest deterrent of criminals and potential criminals. Heinous criminals such as rape, terrorism, murder, drug use can drastically reduce when death penalty is practiced. Some violent and hardened criminals such as serial killers must not live among the general population because of their high tendency to continue killing. Justice requires the stronger response the state can make. Some people are deterred from committing crime if they know the punishment of the crime will be death. I hope with this report of now, I'll be able to convince you not to confuse it that capital punishment should be retained in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. So I'll call on the school rebuters to please come forward. You have 5 minutes each to rebut your points. Thank you.
Welcome back again. As my colleagues have said, what do we convince to little ones when we say killing is dead and then abolish it? The Bible says, thou shalt not kill, and the fundamental human right says, right to life. As I heard my opponent saying that capital punishment can stop killing and all that, but I strongly believe that capital punishment has not been able to stop killing or kidnapping or murder in Nigeria. But the currency changes has been able to stop kidnapping for the past 2 months. What is the use of this policy when it cannot be imposed? Capital punishment should be used for correction and not destruction. A society that values life will not deliberately kill human beings. So, this is my little point now. I thank you, everybody.
In conclusion to what I and my colleagues have expatiated earlier, capital punishment can be used to preserve law and order in Nigeria. Many people understand that Nigeria don't have law. They understand that Nigeria don't follow law. So when we practice capital punishment, many people will understand that we are still abiding in Nigerian law. Capital punishment can lower crime rates. Yes, it can lower crime rates by scaring people from committing certain crime. If someone knows that committing a crime will cause him to death, he will stop it. He will never try to do it again. When we see Nigeria about killing somebody as a punishment for a crime, other person will be scared to commit a crime. They will be scared to commit certain crime. Capital punishment is the best practice that will be done in Nigeria, and we should not retain it in Nigeria. We should retain it in Nigeria because capital punishment is the way of preserving law and order in Nigeria. I'm sure with this scanty weapon of mine, I'll be able to convince you and not to confuse you that capital punishment should be retained in Nigeria. Thank you.
A hand of applause for the debaters. Please, you may go back to your seats.